What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fairway to Heaven, powered by the All About the Birds Network, the only place to watch all the podcasts. We got football, we got baseball, we got basketball talk, and of course, we got fantasy and gambling golf talk every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. I am Phil Stiefel, joined by Jason Sullivan, the absolute best in the biz at making picks. This guy made more money at the Masters last weekend than I did. He might have made more money than Hideki Matsuyama last week.
Yeah, if only. Well, newsflash, I did not win the Millie Maker last week, so still a working man for now at least.
Still a working man for this week. This week we roll into the RBC Heritage Classic down at Harbortown Golf Links in Hilton Head, South Carolina. We'll get to the RBC Heritage in a second. But we got to recap the Masters first before we break down next week, because the Masters is the Masters. I did hang up my green jacket, not wearing it again until next year. There's lots to talk about. Hideki Matsuyama made it a very uneventful, maybe for other than like 5 minutes on Sunday, Masters final round. So I ask you first, Jason, what were your thoughts on the Masters this past weekend?
Well, first off, like you said, Sunday was a little anticlimactic, not really all that much happening. I'm not a huge Hideki fan. I'm just kind of indifferent about him, but I was pretty happy for him. I think it's pretty cool, obviously, being the first Japanese guy to win the Masters. And I felt pretty happy for him. Like, he seems like a good dude. Seems like a pretty humble guy, too. So, yeah, I was a big fan of, how he kind of carried himself. It almost looked, though, like if that would have been, 4 or 5 holes longer, he might have been in big trouble. Because Xander was breathing right down his neck, and if Xander didn't put that ball in the water on, I think it was 16 or 17. He was right there. So,
I'll tell you. Let me tell you, I was having an up and down weekend with. I made literally 28 different bets this weekend. Live betting throughout the event. I've become literally hooked on live betting golf events. I won't lie. I've got so many bets written down for this week's event. But I went ahead and put my biggest golf bet ever down. I bet 28-12 when Hideki was minus 550 to win the event. So I literally put like a boatload of money. I was like, this is going to be great. It's going to cover all my losses this week. And then he puts the ball in the water on the par 5 there on the back 9. I'm like, oh crap. I think I just lost all my money right there. Xander right back in lead. But, Hideki did what he had to do, steady as can be. Never showed any emotion, never any highs or lows till after he won the event. Minus 10 for the winning score was a little bit surprising. I didn't think it would get to minus 20, but the weather played such a factor, and those greens and how hard and fast everything was, other than the right after the rain on Saturday. Really made it very, very interesting, other than the fact that no one can catch up to Hideki.
Yeah, that's a great point. I thought I'm a big fan of obviously tough courses, but I felt like those greens were a little bit much. It's like you couldn't be aggressive at all because if you were, and you missed, the ball might go 50 feet past the hole. Like it was pretty intense. But
I mean, Hideki putting it in the water there. What was it on 15 or 16? It wasn't like he missed the green or something. He hit the green. It literally bounced 50 yards off the green on one bounce. So that was taken a little to an extreme there on how hard and fast those greens and fairways were.
What were your thoughts on Xander? He's kind of turning. I mean, he's obviously a big game hunter. He's always right around there. He's turning into a little bit of fifth place phenom in these majors. It's like he can't quite get over the hump. He's always in contention. It seems like, but he just can't get over the hump in the major tournaments.
I don't want to say that he chokes. Finau makes every single week. He makes one when he's in contention. He makes one big mistake where he's choking to an extent. I don't want to say he's choking, but a big mistake where he's making a big bogey or big double bogey or whatnot. Xander's problem isn't that he's choking per se. He just can't make the big putt or the big. He's still making par and he's still hanging around. You just have to in a major, on a tough hole or a tough course, you got to make a birdie or two, and he just can't. There's a difference between making a birdie and a bogey, but he just can't make that birdie to put him over the top.
Well, and that's what sucked on a couple of those putts. I mean, he missed 2 eagle putts by like a combined 5 feet. It's like he easily made one of those.
And that right there is the difference between a major winner and a not a major winner.
Yeah, 100%.
So
those big game players. Those big game players like Tiger, Brooks, and those guys. Those guys. You made a really good point. Those guys make those putts.
Yeah.
And
Hideki made a really long birdie putt at one point on Sunday. Did he not? Wasn't it like a 30 or 40-foot birdie putt? You've got to make those big putts and big shots at the big moment if you're going to win a major.
It's kind of funny too. We've been talking about Hideki a lot this year, and it's kind of puzzling because he's such a good ball striker, but he cannot putt at all. What have we been saying the entire year? If he ever putts, even not losing any strokes or losing one stroke, he's going to win. And what does he do? He putts about even and he wins the tournament.
Absolutely. So what would be your biggest? You can either do both or you can do one or the other. Your biggest, disappointment from this past week and your biggest surprise from this past week at the Masters.
I think the biggest disappointment was the big guys not really being there. I mean, we had a lot of Cantlay. We liked Bryson. We liked DJ even a little bit. And Rory we weren't sure about. But those guys all missing the cut. Berger too. It's really surprising. I think how many good players missed the cut. And then for the biggest surprise, I think Zalatoris is my biggest surprise. Yeah. That dude is he's a top 15 machine. He proved he's not scared. I mean, he played really good golf over the weekend. I really like that kid. I love the fact, too, that he looks like Happy Gilmore's first caddy.
I love
in that movie. He looks like, he's like a 120-pound chicken wing that just goes out there and mashes the ball. It's crazy.
Zalatoris needs to eat a cheeseburger at some point in time because the man needs to put some weight on. Who's Jack's favorite golfer?
Who's your favorite golfer?
Well, we don't want boogers on this show. Our viewership just tripled on that one.
Listen, no nose pickers allowed.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I would say my biggest disappointment was DeChambeau. I really thought, not because of his long driving, but because of his short game and his putting, he was going to really figure it out. And even after he had a really bad first round, I really thought he'd figure it out. And he had a decent second round. He just barely made the cut. And he had a really good third round too. But he was all over the place. And I really thought he'd be able to, they call him the scientist. I thought he'd be able to figure out, what to do to make it work to stay in contention. And that was a big disappointment to me.
I feel like he's going to figure it out at some point. Like you said, he's like the mad scientist. He puts so much mental, work into his game. I feel like he'll figure it out at some point. He just hasn't figured out, like the new Bryson hasn't figured out how to win at Augusta yet. He was actually better, I think, as an amateur. His game fit the course better.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously won, the U.S. Open. He's got major winning potential, and he's won twice already this year. Only golfer to do so. So he's got the win in him. It's just the Masters is Augusta's a different course and all. So I mean, I honestly was also disappointed or surprised in Rory because I preached last week that Rory's numbers weren't as bad. Like I wasn't surprised that Dustin Johnson missed the cut. He hasn't been playing well, but other than his win over in Europe, he's been playing below his expectations a lot. Rory, on the other hand, does have a couple missed cuts this year, but he also, has every other event was a top 20, top 15 finish. So it wasn't like he was finishing in 50th place every single week. So I was really surprised Rory, couldn't put together, I'm not saying win, but a really solid round this week because he didn't have one good solid round this week.
No. I was thinking a lot about Rory too last weekend. Do we think Rory's ever going to win a major again? I'm not so sure. I thought for sure he would at some point, but now I'm looking. It's like, I don't know. He just seems lost mentally.
Well,
that's scary.
Does he have a chance to win a major versus, Ricky Fowler winning a major? Like if you had to pick one of those two, because Ricky's fallen, Rory's fallen this year a little bit, but Ricky has fallen so far. He was obviously not. I saw him more in Corona commercials than I did on my PGA TV, events this past week. So, I mean, I don't know. I think Rory can win another major, but I don't know. I don't know if the Masters. I don't think he's going to get that career Grand Slam. I just don't think he's, going to be able to figure out Augusta in his career. I mean, it's not like he's young anymore. So,
right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think I could see him winning maybe like the Open. I don't think I could see him winning the Masters, like you said, which sucks because he won the first 3 legs of the Grand Slam really quickly in his career. He just can't get over the hump at Augusta.
All right, let's wrap up. Anything else about the Masters before we move on to this week?
No, I think I take that back. Maybe yes. So I feel like the young guys, I just continue to be so impressed by those young guys. Morikawa, and I mean, he really didn't do all that great this week, but Zalatoris, like there's a lot of young studs on the tour, and I think golf's in really good hands going forward.
That's a great point right there. But as great as hands it's in, one final big surprise from this weekend, for as bad as he's played this year, who played really well for an old-timer this past week? Phil Mickelson, because he just loves Augusta. I said it last week, 25 of 28 cuts made at Augusta, 15 top 15 finishes at Augusta. And again, he played really well last week. So it's great. I love it when Phil's in contention. Who doesn't love Phil Mickelson? I mean,
right, exactly.
He's, everybody's favorite golfer. But let's get into this week. Last week's over. We've lost all our money. It's time to restart building those bankrolls.
We got to redeposit all the money in our accounts.
I've never once. Let me put this out there. I have never once deposited a single penny into DraftKings or FanDuel, and I've cashed out almost every single year money into my bank account. Just to give a little background on my success, I'm not having huge success this year, but I've never once deposited a single penny into any online gambling site ever.
So I'm unbelievably OCD. So I have documented every dollar I've ever put in and every dollar I've taken out, and it took me a long time. How long have you been doing it for? 5 years.
Wow.
So it took me a long time to get decent at DraftKings. So I think my biggest thing that I'm proud of is that I'm about even all time. So you took like 3 years where I was just giving money away, and now I'm about even all time. So all that works for nothing.
Well ahead overall. I will give a little side tangent. There was a moment about 3 or 4 years ago where back an old site that doesn't exist anymore, they got bought out by Monkey Knife Fight Fantasy Draft. I was in there, they're millionaire. It wasn't a millionaire maker because they didn't have that big of a following. It was $500,000 was the first place prize on this. And I was in the top 10 going into the Sunday Night Football matchup. And I had Tom Brady and Julian Edelman playing in that event. And Julian Edelman caught a wide open pass over the middle from Tom Brady, which would have been a touchdown, but he literally tripped over his own 2 feet. And then they rushed in for the touchdown. That loss of a touchdown was the difference between first and fifth place in that event. 500,000, and their payout structure wasn't the greatest. So fifth place was something like $1,000. So it was that big of a difference on their payout structure. And so that one trip cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. Someone forgot to tie their shoes.
Oh my God. So anyway, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about the Millie Maker? So I was listening to this guy. They were talking about this guy in one of the golf podcasts, that he lost basically when, I forget if it was Xander or Hideki bogeyed 18. I think it was Hideki, right? So he bogeyed 18. This guy lost the $1 million by 0.5 points, which is the equivalent to one bogey.
Well, the Millionaire Maker last week, I have actually, that's it. I have the lineup on my phone. I did have it. I did snapshot it. So Mr. McGiblets 11, whoever it is, I'm not even sure what that means. Mr. McGiblets 11. He had Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth, Hideki, Paul Casey, who I was disappointed in. He finished in 28th. I was really high on him this week. Zalatoris and Corey Connors.
That's almost a perfect lineup. I was gonna say that's basically
perfect freaking lineup right there.
5 of those guys is like as good as you can get, and then a 28th, which is solid, respectable.
He had a first, the second, two people tied for third, and the eighth place finisher in Corey Connors. What are we doing wrong there?
I don't know.
All right, let's help out Mike, and all our other listeners. Let's make some money on the RBC Heritage Classic down in Hilton Head there. It's a par 71, just over 7,100 yard, design. Pete Dye design. 138 golfers, top 65 in ties, make the cut. What do you know about the Harbor Town Golf Links?
I think the biggest thing that stands out is the type of golfer that wins. You have to be accurate off the tee here. You don't have to be a long hitter, but you have to be accurate. It's definitely driving accuracy is the most important stat on this course. Scrambling is also very important at this course. You're going to have to scramble and also putting too. I don't typically put a lot into putting, but I feel like this is one of the weeks that putting does matter a lot. And then also it's a second shot golf course. You're going to want guys that are hot with the irons right now. And I don't know if it's a less than driver course necessarily, but it's close to it. So you're going to want guys that are good with the irons.
Could that be why Bryson DeChambeau withdrew from the event? I mean, he withdrew pretty early on. The lineups weren't even set when he withdrew, but he was originally scheduled to be in this event. But this is definitely a type of event that might not suit his game with how poorly he played last week at Augusta. Like I wrote down shots gained approach, fairways gained, short gain, fairways and greens hit, like you said. And Pete Dye courses in general are just a different cup of tea when you're playing them. Compared to all the other course designers, Pete Dye courses are totally different ball games.
Yeah, 100%. You have to be accurate in all Pete Dye courses. It's funny too. You mentioned Bryson not playing in this one. DJ probably wouldn't play in this event either if he wasn't an RBC guy. That's one of his sponsors. So He's a bomber.
I was kind of thinking of that. I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
I don't think his game fits his course at all. So, I'm not going to segue. I'm not going to play him at all this week, but I feel like he wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for that sponsorship. So.
Well, I'm not saying I actually, from all my notes, I don't have him in any of my, not my lineups are not official till Thursday morning. But, the one thing I will say, out of the last 24 rounds on Pete Dye courses, he is second in total strokes gained on Pete Dye courses. So I've got the top 5 in all the different shot gain, categories that are important this week. And the last 24 rounds on Pete Dye courses, Harmon, DJ, Answer, Casey, and Simpson. They're your top 5 strokes gained total on these courses. So DJ, while the driving part of it might be out of it, he might have some success at this course. Yeah.
No, you could be right. I don't know. I think just the price tag and the course fit kind of throws me off a little bit this week. So.
All right. Well, let's jump into the DraftKings lineup this week. Let me pull it up on my screen so I have all the names up here and all. So as we always do on this show, we break down the top tier guys first, 10K and above. You have Dustin Johnson, the only 11K plus guy at 11.6. Then you got Cantlay, Simpson, Morikawa, Smith, and Berger at 10K even. Any of those guys that you jump out at and have to play this week?
I feel like Webb's the most obvious. The problem is I think he's going to be like 25, 30% owned. So that's a little scary. But his course history is amazing. 6 top 16s in his last 9 years here. So obviously he loves this course. T12 at the Masters. So he's coming in good form. His game really fits this course too. So I like him a lot. The tricky part for me, so I'm not really sure what to do about Patrick Cantlay. He has really good course history here, which I think is really important. I think he has 3 top 10s at this course. So obviously he fits the course well. Kind of a little bit disappointed last week at Augusta, but the early ownership is showing that he's going to be half the percentage owned as Webb Simpson. So I think he might be a good pivot this week.
Yeah, no, that's a really good a good point. So I wrote down all the top 5 categories and all. Then I find a site that pretty much takes like all the important shots gained categories for that specific week, and they have an algorithm that figures out like they average it all out and all. So they put them in order of taking all those accounts, and outside of the top 5, which Webb Simpson's number 5 in all the categories combined that are important this week, number 6 on the week. I know he missed the cut last week, but Daniel Berger at 10K is a guy that to me, he plays really well on Pete Dye courses. He was 3rd in this event last year. I'm not totally worried about the Masters performance on him. I'm just bringing him up because Webb Simpson, percentage or not, he's the number 1 guy, in my opinion, in this 10K or above range.
I think so too. Berger and Webb aren't that much different in terms of what type of golfer they are. Like they're not super long. They're good putters. They have good iron games. So yeah, I don't hate the Berger call either. I guess the price just scares me a little bit on Berger.
Just to touch on all these guys, Morikawa as well. I mean, shots gained approach, we agree, is a very important statistic this week, right? In the last 50 rounds period played under all these guys in this event, he is number one in shots gained in approach. So he's an elite iron player. But I think this week in general, most of my lineups, I might have Webb Simpson in one or two of my lineups. I'm definitely betting Webb Simpson to win this event, which he did win it last year. And we haven't had a repeat winner or a defending champ win. But the last, 6 years, you had Webb Simpson last year, CT Pan, I can't say his name, Satoshi Kadira. I hope I said that right. Kadira, Wesley Bryan, Brendan Gracie, and Jim Furyk. They're your last 6 winners of this event. I still may throw at 11-1 a few pennies at Webb Simpson, but for the most part on my DraftKings lineups, I feel like you could stay away from the entire 10K range.
Yeah, I feel like you can too. The 9K range is loaded too, so there's a lot of guys that I really like in the 9K to kind of segue.
Well, let's go first. Segue right into that then.
You go first.
The 9K range is led off by Will Zalatoris at 9,700. You got Tyler Hatton. You got Corey Connors. Love Corey Connors this week. Paul Casey, Matthew Fitzpatrick. Let me down big time last week. Sung J M. And yeah, Sung J M, that's the last one. I was about to say the first in the 8K range. So actually the 9K range is pretty small, but I think you can make a case for almost every single one of these guys to be the anchor in your DraftKings lineup.
I think that's a good point. The only one maybe that you couldn't do that for is Sanjay. He's known for his iron play, and his iron play has been garbage lately. So he's the one guy I have question about. But like you said, the other 4 you could anchor your lineup with any of those guys. Love Zalatoris at 9,700, top 22 or better in 8 of his last 9 starts. So he's coming in really good form. Great iron player, obviously good finish at the Masters too. So I like that. Like Hatton a lot this week. 2 of 3 cuts here, including a T3 last year. Pretty good recent form too as well. And I'll let you talk about Corey Connors, but I agree with you on Corey Connors for sure.
I got a lot of points on. I have one main point on Corey Connors, but one thing I wanted to bring up because he wasn't a part of my initial notes. But the last thing I Google searched before we went live was the weather forecast for this week, and it's supposed to be a trashy weather weekend, mid-60s, 60% chance or more of rain 3 of the 4 days. And who does best at bad weather courses? The European guys. So Tyler Hatton has all the statistics to play well here. But then also being a good at that bad weather courses, I really am starting to lean towards Hatton this week. But Corey Connors, there's a million stats. I mean, we could throw out at you on him. 8th at the Masters, obviously, last week. But one thing that at $9,300, that is very surprising that he's so low on the DraftKings lineup is that he's compared to the rest of the field, 3rd in total DraftKings points scored this year. So he is scoring points nonstop. And what do you want with your DraftKings lineup? You want guys that are you don't care about necessarily the win. A win helps you win big money, obviously, but the points, that's your number one thing you want. And if he's 3rd compared to the field in points scored, I think he's a lock for almost every single one of my lineups this week.
Well, and like you said, too, he's safe, I feel like. If the weather gets bad, he's a good weather player. Same with Fitzpatrick, too. Fitzpatrick's a good weather player, too. So, yeah.
He's borderline dead to me, Fitzpatrick. I hyped him up too much last week.
He's borderline dead to me too, so I don't know 100% if I'm going to play him, but I'll probably regret it if it's bad weather because he likes the bad weather too. So,
all right, well let's segue into the 8K range because there's a lot of great European players. Some had good success last week at the Masters, some did not. But there's some really interesting names here in this 8K range as well. It's not every single week we say this, but this week is another week where you could build your lineup in the 8K range. For the most part. And it starts at 8,900 with one of my favorite plays this week to bet and to play. It's Abraham Answer. Love him this week. He was borderline a contender until he got that 2-stroke penalty, which I meant to ask you about that. What were your thoughts on the 2-stroke penalty for blading his club in a bunker? He didn't find out till 8 o'clock at night after the round was over, and he literally touched one little granule of sand.
Barely.
One granule of sand cost him 2 strokes. What are your thoughts on what happened in that rule?
I feel like the rule is stupid. I feel like he obviously didn't mean to do it. I don't know. You can kind of tell a guy means to do it or not, but it is the rule. 2 strokes is a bit, I don't know. I think that's a bit heavy for that penalty, but yeah. I don't know. I
just,
feel like I watched it. Okay, so it was in slow motion, and then I like zoomed in on it, and you could hardly even tell if he hit the sand or not. But
you had to
obviously,
watch
it's the
it in
rule.
slow motion to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that took him.
But yeah,
He finished T23 last week, but he had been a top 15 play. And who knows, that kind of hurt his momentum going into the next round, where who knows what he would have shot in that next round. So,
right.
I love Abraham Answer this week. He's one of my top plays. And,
He's
again,
awesome on short. He's really good on short courses too. So this being a short course, he's an accurate hitter off the tee. He's he finished second here last year, so it might play a little bit different than it did last year. But I really like it.
Last year was in June. It was after the stoppage and restarted and all. But so
the weather was better.
Top 5 categories this week: shots gained, approach. In no particular, shots gained, approach, fairways gained, short game. Fairways and greens hit, and Pete Dye courses. Taking all those into account, that formula I told you about, the number one person, if you average all those stats out this week, Abraham Answer. And he's only 8,900. I think he's like, plus 3,000 to win the event.
Yep.
Plus 3,000 on one side, plus 2,500 on another. I love Abraham Answer. I am definitely making a bet on him and putting him, like Corey Connors, in almost every single one of my lineups. So
yeah, he's my pick. He's my pick to win. So I actually already bet him too.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I just love him this week, and I feel like it kind of goes. You see his second last year, and you're like, okay, he played well at this course last year. This field was a lot tougher last year because of the restart. This is right after it restarted again. Everybody played. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, I like that. I also love Brian Harmon, which I know that's your guy. But he's in awesome form, and can't believe I would say that, but he's made 7 of 9 cuts here, and he's super accurate off the tee and a really good putter. So that's pretty much exactly what we want this week. He's probably going to be super popular, but I like him a lot this week too.
The problem with this week is the guys I like: Simpson, Answer, Corey Connors, Brian Harmon. I feel like they're all going to be super high owned this week, and that's my fear. So if you're going to bet these guys or play these guys on DraftKings, you better hope you're really confident on these guys because they're going to be super high owned. Other guys in the 8K range, you got Tommy Fleetwood, Sergio Garcia, Shane Lowry, all foreign guys. You got Harris English, Lee Westwood, another. I fade Lee Westwood. This guy is worn out. I'm surprised he didn't withdraw and just take a break. He's over here from Europe. At some point, he's just going to stop playing, head back to Europe for a couple of weeks. He really needs a break. You got Billy Horschel, you got Kevin Na, and another guy. I can't believe he's 8K. That's a high price for Matt Kuchar. But on the flip side, he's played really good golf this year. Yep. And at this event, he's made 15 straight cuts in 15 attempts at this event. He won it in 2014, second in 2019. And in this event alone, shots gained total last 5 years, number 1 compared to the rest of the field in this event.
Wow.
So at 8K, Matt Kuchar's, you can literally make your lineup and start it with Harmon, Answer, and Kuchar.
Yep.
And that's 3 of your 6 guys right in that 8K range, and you're building a fantastic lineup right there.
No, I completely agree. I like Harris English this week too, 8,400. He's been pretty good here, T17, T25, and T32 in his last 3 years here. His form has been a lot better. He kind of went through a little slump, but I feel like he's a great course fit too. He's not super long, but he's super accurate. He's a really good putter. So I think he could go a little bit under the radar this week. So I feel like we should touch a little bit on ownership in the 8s, just because we talked about these guys being chalky.
Because it's really important because ownership makes such a big deal here.
So believe it or not, I thought Answer's the highest owned in this range. So he's 18%. I thought Answer and Harmon would be about the same. Harmon's only 13%, they're projecting. And then to go to Kuchar's only 9%. So that's not super high with the exception of Answer, which
for 8K, I feel like that's almost like a steal at 8K.
Yeah. Single-digit ownership's huge.
Single-digit ownership is majorly important. And on a field like this, I mean, there's some big names in this event. But again, Pete Dye courses are totally different. So, it makes a big deal this week. I had one other note on this 8K range, and now I lost it because you brought up ownership percentage. I'm fumbling with my notes here. Oh, so anyway, so 8 of the last 10 winners have had 2 top 5 finishes the year they won the HBC. Something to take into account here. 7 of 10 winners previously had a top 23 or better at this event specifically. So something to take into account. Course history does matter here. Ownership percentage when you're building your lineups. But if you want that winner, you got to look at people that have had great success this year and have had really good success at this event in the past.
This course, exactly.
So the two things to look at there. So anyway, into the 7K range as we motor right along here. Again, the 7K range is normally where it starts to separate. You get a lot of names in the 7K range. Names that you know, names that you don't know. First name on the list at the 7,900, Siwoo Kim. You got Russell Henley. You got McIntyre, who cost me a lot of money because he tied Brian Harman for the top lefty last week. So I only got half my bet paid. You got Charlie Hoffman, who's had great success here, played well. The man with the best name in golf, Bazudenhout. You got Kisner, Poulter, again, a European guy that could play here, Brendan Gracie, Matt Wallace, and that only gets you through the 7,500. You go down to the lower parts, you got Kevin Streelman, who's got a good, solid, chance this weekend. Brendan Todd, Fratelli, Zach Johnson, Michael Thompson, guy I like this week a lot, CT Pan, Adam Hadwin. There are so many names to break down in this range. Where do you even start looking in this range?
So my favorite guy in this range is Poulter. T18 or better 5 of the 6 times he's been here. So love that. His last 2 starts have been T26 and T9 too. So he's been in good form, most importantly. So love Poulter this week. Pretty much all the guys you just named, I feel like you could make an argument for any of them. McIntyre is probably my favorite, but I also like Hoffman and Streelman a lot in this range too. Where are you leaning?
I mean, all those names are all on my list of potential plays. I love them all. I mean, Poulter, and again, on top of all things, finished tied 26 last week at the Masters. So again, has had, recent success along with course success. And again, shots gained total here at this event, he's 3rd. Who did I just say was 1st overall? I forget now already. But whoever that was a few minutes ago, they said that was 1st overall in shots gained here. Ian Poulter is 3rd shots gained at this event. So, I mean, he checks all the categories that you're looking for there. Another one that checks a lot of categories for me, at least on DraftKings side of the thing, is Kevin Streelman, 7,300. 6 of his last 7 cuts made. He hits the ball straight as an arrow, which means you're hitting fairways, so that's important. And his last 2 times playing this event, 18 and 19, he's got a 6th and a 7th place finish. So he's got course history, he's got recency success, and he hits the ball straight. So I really do like Kevin Streelman this week. And, so Siwoo Kim, let me see how I can phrase this the right way. So in 2018, he finished 18th at the Masters and then lost in the playoffs at this event. So this year, he had a high finish at the Masters again, T12. So it seems like every time he has a good Masters finish, he follows it up at this event with a really good finish. Okay. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I like that. I actually didn't even consider that at all, but I like that a lot.
So last year, this event didn't follow the Masters. So his not having a good success here, maybe that had something to do with it. But Master success equates RBC success normally. So Siwoo Kim's a guy I do like in that 7K range a decent amount. What are your thoughts on him?
Can I just go on a little tangent about Siwoo? So I don't know if
I hit him top 20 finish. I got 4-1 on my money on him top 20 finish last week. So I'm giddy on Siwoo Kim.
So you love Siwoo. So every time I think of Siwoo Kim, I think of the President's Cup. I think it was not this past one, but 2 President's Cups ago when the fans were chanting Siwoo, shaking that ass. Siwoo, shaking that ass. That's all I every single time I hear Siwoo.
You should have told me that ahead of time. I could have probably gotten some kind of a video to play. With that. Another name I want to bring up in the 7K range, I would love your thoughts on. Michael Thompson, 7,200.
He's been playing really good.
10 times here, he's played well. He's made a lot of cuts lately. He finished 5th at the Amex. So he's, again, checking a lot of boxes. Not to win the event, but at 7,200 as a good play this week. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like him. He's in a few of my lineups. Definitely a fan of him. So I'm looking at ownership in this range, and nobody's overly owned really in this range, with the exception of 2 people. Chris Kirk, which I don't think I'm even going to play this week, to be honest with you. Yeah, and then the other one is Charlie Hoffman, 18%. That seems really high for Charlie Hoffman.
Charlie Hoffman has a lot of info. I had information on him somewhere.
I mean, I know
he kept coming up in my notes. He's got 3 top 10s in his last 6 starts. He's 7,800. Where are he on my other? So shots gained approach. He's 2nd on tour in the last 24 rounds. Obviously a very important category this week. So that's another probable reason why he's got such high ownership.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that too. The only thing I guess a pivot for me is Robert McIntyre. He is. Hold on. What's it? Is his price the same? So yeah, same price.
Mhm.
You're looking at Charlie Hoffman being 18% owned and McIntyre being 4% owned. McIntyre's been good too. So like I mean, look at his recent.
And a really good finish to match play. I mean, he played well at the Masters.
Yeah, 9th at the match play and 12th at the Masters. He's never played this course before, which obviously hurts a little bit. But I feel like, I mean, you're talking such a fraction of ownership, almost a fifth of the ownership for him. So I definitely like him this week.
No, I could very the temporary dead to me list. We'll see how he does this week. Maybe I add him back on the playable list next week. He only cost me like $2, so we're not going to totally write him off. I think that wraps up my 7K range. You got any other guys in here that you want to touch on?
There's a couple other guys that I might have a sprinkle of some other guys. I like Fratelli because he's a really good putter. Don't hate Norin at 7,100, and then JT Poston I think would be my last one.
Poston written down on a couple lists, but I didn't put any notes, which meant I was a little curious on that player.
So Poston, let me pull up his recent track record here. So his last 2 times here were last year and the year before, T8 and T6.
Okay.
His last 2 years here. So I think at 7,100, I feel like that's a pretty good play this week.
All right. And going into the 6K range, there's actually some decent plays in the 6K range to an extent. At the top of it in the 1,600, you don't really want to get into that 6K, 6,300 range. You obviously don't want to play those guys. But I do have one thought on that 6K range if you want to stack high. So we'll get to that in a second. But the top end, 6,900, you got Doug Gim, the Gim Reaper, a guy that everybody likes to play fantasy-wise. You got Putnam. You got Neesmith, a guy that I was high on early in the season. He's kind of fallen down in my book. You got Luke List. You got some good guys at the top end of this. Doc Redman at 6,800. Again, falling down a little bit. Russell Knox, falling down a little bit. Anybody here that really jumps out at you? Because I'll jump in at the low end, just thoughts on it and all. But your thoughts on the top end of the 6K range?
So pretty much the guys you named are pretty much who I have on my list, with the exception of one. Rory Sabatini has really good course history here. So I think at 6,800, I'm going to play some of him. Like Redmond, like Knox this week too. And then the other one is Tyler McCumber. I think he's 6,500 this week. He is too good of a golfer to be in that range. I feel like he should be closer to 7,000, which obviously doesn't say a lot. He's not a stud or anything like that, but I feel like he could contend any given week. So I like him as a kind of a deep sleeper this week. But I think my favorite is Sabatini, and then my second favorite would probably be Redmond in this range.
Okay. All right, so I want to bring up a guy. I've already mentioned his name once, okay? He's at 6,300. Satoshi Kodera, former champion at this event. And he's got awful recency success, okay? What did he win in? 2013, 2014, something like that. But he's Japanese, as is Hideki Matsuyama. So now I read an article, and it kind of played into the fact that some of that Japanese pride and that national pride may play into motivating him into playing better this week. He's only 6,300. He's obviously got course history and success, having won the event about 6-7 years ago. Is there any thought process to that? Like, it's not my theory. It's a theory I read, and I wrote it down just to get your opinion on it. Sometimes you could be motivated by your fellow countrymen. So is there any relevancy to that thought process this week for him?
I think there is, yes. However, is it enough to convince me to play him? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I thought about him a little bit too at this course, because he does have the win. It was actually 3 years ago, so not that long ago.
Oh, wasn't that? Okay, sorry.
No, so the problem is the next year he finished 70th. And I think the biggest concern for me is that he's missed 4 of his last 7 cuts. So that's a little bit concerning for me. But like you said, 6,300, if he makes the cut, you're winning some money. So
you've already paid off. I mean, he's got so his last cut that he made was at the Honda Classic. He finished in 36. The Puerto Rico Open, which was nobody was in that event. He only finished 49th. So and he's missed a boatload of cuts. But again, like you said, he's won this event a couple years ago. So it's just something that, sometimes I read so many articles leading into this that it piqued my interest. And I was just curious on your thoughts.
I feel like a lot depends too on which kind of tournament you play, because if you were saying that you're playing a tournament that has 100,000 people, that would be the kind of play you'd want to play in that tournament.
Right.
1 or 2 guys like that. But if you're playing a contest with 3,500 people, you probably don't want to take that big of a chance. So
Okay. That's a really great point right there. The size of the event matters because, again, you hit that one gem. It's like in fantasy football. If you get that 3,000 or 4,000 guy that just catches that one touchdown pass, he paid off his value, and you were able to stack your lineup with other more high-costing players. Another name that jumped out at me for recency was Rafael Campos. He's finished twice in the top 3 in his last couple of events he's played. Again, and at 6,400, again, your bigger events, if you're playing the Millie or the $5 major event, maybe you take a stab at somebody like him. But again, I'm looking in that 7,500 to 9,500 range to build my entire lineup this week.
Yeah, I'm not dipping much below 6,000 or 7,000. I don't think this week.
If you dip below 6,000, I want to know where you're playing.
Below 6,000, no. Yeah, I'm definitely not going that low. Definitely not.
All right, well, let's let me figure out how to get my screen back here on this page. Let's get to building our lineup this week. Again,
this is the best part of the show.
I think last week we actually had a 5 out of 6 lineup. It just still sucked. When will we have a good lineup on this show?
Maybe once before we're done.
Maybe once. I doubt it.
You can go first this time.
Oh, I get to go first this time? All right, well,
let's do it differently. Let's do it differently. You pick 2, I'll pick 2, and then we'll go 1 and 1. Just to see if that makes a difference.
All right, I like that. I'm going to go chalk with my first pick. Adrian Answer. Love him. I know he's going to buy ownership, but I'm playing him, like I said, in almost every one of my lineups. So I'll definitely go him. I'm not going to take Webb Simpson, so I'm not going to ruin your picks with that and all. I'm going to go Kevin Streelman with my other pick. I'm really high on Streelman in that price range of 7,300 this week. So I went Answer and Streelman. It leaves 84.50 left on the board for you.
Okay, so I'm going to go with – I don't know. I just have a feeling. I'm going to go Doc Redman with 1.
Okay. That's a lot of money at 6,800.
Yeah, so that's good. And then I'm going to go with Hatton as my other one.
Yeah, again, he wasn't on my original list, but I do really like that play. I really do. All right, let me look at my list here. So that leaves me with 87.50.
87.50. Yep.
Here, I'm going to go against my rules. I don't typically play a lot of the European guys. I was going to say Siwoo Kim, but I'm going to go with Poultier this week. Okay. I really do think, again, especially with the weather, I think he's set up for having a huge success. And that leaves you with a lot of money at 9,900 for your last pick.
So I'm torn on this one.
Let me look first here.
No,
so 9,900.
I'm going Zalatoris.
You're just going to jump right at it? Only leave 200 on the board for us here. Let me write this lineup down here. So I am not against that at all, that pick. So I
feel like if the weather gets bad, I feel like this lineup gets better. So the bad weather might be a good thing.
And again, it's going to be a lot of bad weather other than on Friday. It's Thursday's going to be like 70% chance, Saturday like 80% chance of rain, Sunday like 30-40%, but it's definitely going to be a rough weather weekend. And I think I've learned my lesson to stick to the weather report big time on these events because it plays a big difference.
Yeah, I think so too. So I feel like this lineup is a little safer than some of our other lineups, but I feel like it's going to come down to Streelman and Redman is going to make or break this lineup.
All right, so I want to bring into it. So this is our lineup. Everybody, don't play it, whatever you choose. It don't matter to me. Probably not because we've had such bad records. But the one week you don't play our lineup, people, is going to be the week that we hit big. So just take that into account there. I'm going to bring up a new segment into the show here. Jason's never done this. It's we've got a new sponsor at All About the Birds. It's called Statement Games. It's a site. Basically, what they do is they give you 50 or so statements, okay? And what they do is they give you the option to pick 10 of the statements and rank them in order of what you think is going to be the most successful. So whatever statement you pick at the 10th spot is going to be worth 10 points. The 9th spot, 9 points. 8th spot, 8 points. So on down to 1. So you rank your things there. I'm going to be doing a show soon, starting real soon on the YouTube site only. So make sure you're subscribing to YouTube. We're going to call it The Ultimate Statement, where I'm going to break down their events and their games regularly. Statement Games is a free event to play. Okay. You just sign up. I'm putting the link into the comment section now. Sign up for Statement Games. Let's see. Let me get this on here real quick. So there's the link. It's in the comment section. Click there. Sign up. It's free to play. Use the coins they give you to enter these events. You win the events, you win coins. Your coins can then be turned into gift cards. There's Apple iTunes on there. There's Amazon gift cards. There's all different kinds of gift cards and things you can turn these coins into. It's a lot of fun. I actually won the Masters one last week by getting 7 out of 10 of my statements right, and I ranked them in the right order. My 10th statement for the most points was DeChambeau finishing higher than Dustin Johnson overall, which was easy because one made the cut and the other did not.
Right,
So
exactly.
It was a great pull on my part, even though I was so high on him. So let me get up this week's event. I've already put my my lineup in for this week for their event. I'm trying to bring it up here real quick. Give me a second. Edit selections. So these are my selections for this week. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'm going to get Jason's thoughts on my selections, and then we're going to go from there. So again, check out Statement Games. Great site. I have a lot of fun doing their statements and all. And Mark Saluno, the guy that owns it, great guy, huge sports fan. So anyway, here are my statements this week. My number one statement this week. I know we love Corey Connors this week, but I got Abraham Answer in a better finishing position than Corey Connors. Is that a win or a loss?
I think that's a win. Definitely.
The guy we stayed away from talking too much about this week, my second most popular statement is Webb Simpson finishing over Dustin Johnson.
100%.
Yeah, agreed. Love it.
Yep.
I know we're high on all our European guys. My third most favorite statement, Daniel Berger finishing higher than Shane Lowry.
I like that too. Unless the weather gets really, really bad. If the weather gets really bad, then that Lowry gets better. But I would pretty much bet the house on that one also.
Okay. Again, just like Berger not going with that European flavor, I got Cameron Smith finishing higher than Paul Casey.
That's tough. That one's really tough. I don't know. That one's really tough.
Paul Casey was one of my favorites to win last week, the Masters. So there might be some bias on that one. So,
so he's dead to you, kind of.
Yeah, he's not on the dead to me list per se. He's just on the not in my good standings list right now.
Okay, I like it.
Again, I keep picking against all these European guys. I got Siwoo Kim over Sergio Garcia with my next pick.
I like that one too. I can't even argue with any of these. I feel like they're
I was hoping you would argue with one of these here.
I know.
I still got 5 more to go with here. We got Charlie Hoffman finishing higher than Billy Horschel.
You can't argue that one either. I feel like Billy's falling apart. So
I know you're not going to disagree with the next one.
No, Poulter's my. I'll go as far to say I think Webb's my favorite play of the week, but I think Poulter's my second favorite play of the week. So definitely Poulter.
Over Wallace. Is my next play. So then I got this one you're going to hate just because of the name. I've got Kuchar finishing higher than Bazooda.
I would agree with that too. Christian Bazooda is my guy, but yeah, I would go Kuchar too. I can't even argue.
All right, my last 2 statements. I always make these because they're not all just one over the other players. There's other statements on here. I took the tournament cut line under 3.5, minus under 3.5. I think with the weather minus 3.5, it's going to be like the cut line's going to be +1, +2 this week.
I think so too. I was going to say I think the cut line's going to be around even this week because of the weather.
I think it's going to be a very low cut line because of the weather, and that's also why I feel like the overall tournament winner. They've got the over/under at minus 17.5, and I know Webb Simpson won last year at minus 22. But if you look at the 4 years before that, it was minus 12, minus 12, minus 13, minus 9. So
that's part of last year.
17.5 is so high.
I feel like that's part of last year that's different. Is that they played this tournament last year in June, middle of June or whatever. So a lot better weather than April. So yeah, I think that's the big difference.
South Carolina right now. So
yeah, exactly. So it's not super warm there. So yeah, I agree with that too. I think it'll be about 15 or 16.
Yeah. So everybody, again, check out Statement Games. Click the link in the comments section. Sign up for them. It's a lot of fun. Again, it's free to play. Who doesn't want some free to play fantasy games? And they've got basketball. I just filled out my lineup. They have a Statement Games on the draft, sponsored by All About the Birds. Where we think different players are going to go, where we think how many cornerbacks are going to get drafted in the first round and whatnot. So definitely check out Statement Games. A lot of fun on their site there. And I'm not going to bring up the Statement Games every single week, but I just want to throw it out there. And just stay tuned to our YouTube page. Again, subscribe to it. And I'll be doing a regular show once, sometimes twice a week, depending on their events. It's not just tournaments. They've got they had an event for, before baseball season started, where we thought different teams were going to finish over under on win totals. But they also have single game events where you're picking, they had one on the Sixers, the Dallas Mavericks game last night. Over unders on points scored, who's winning, and all that stuff. A lot of fun on their site. Make sure you check it out. Again, a lot of fun on that site. So before we wrap,
I'm going to sign up. I'm going to sign up tonight. That seems awesome. I'm all in.
Make sure you use my link so we get credit all about the Birds for getting a new.
That's right.
That's the whole point. We're trying to bring them some more business. Mark was on our show in last offseason back in August. He's a big Giants fan. He lives up in upstate New York. He's a really great guy. He came up with this because basically what Statement Games was Mark and his family sitting around the TV years ago, just throwing a couple quarters into a pot, making bets to have fun. So when they were watching a Sunday night football game, they'd each throw a quarter in a pot. They'd each write down a statement, and whoever statement was right got the money in the pot. So that's where this whole website came from. It's a really great story. It's a lot of fun. And when you watch the ultimate statement when I started, whether it's later this week or next week, they have a whole video on a better description than my poor job describing how to play.
That's awesome.
I'll play that and make sure everybody understands the games and all. But they also give away a lot of great prizes and, not just, the coins to turn in. Sometimes they got jersey giveaways and different things like that. It's a lot of fun. So definitely check them out. So before I get into my bets for the week, because I've turned into a degenerate, a golf gambler, I'm not going to bet. I'm not.
This guy has fallen off the deep end.
I'm not betting 28 times, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 10 bets going so far this week. That I haven't placed any of the bets yet, but I'm ready to. So I want to hear your bets to win. Yeah, welcome to the dark side. Exactly. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I'm a degenerate when it comes to golf. So I'll let Jason go with any bets that he's made so far this week.
Before you take a mortgage out against your pizza shop, let me do my bet.
Can you do that?
I don't know. So no. The answer is no to that question. No.
Okay, gotcha.
So I have 3 bets so far this week. I'm gonna make more. I just haven't figured them out yet. So I have Harris English top 5, 8-1. Like that a lot. Answer 30-1. Love that. And then I think I'm gonna fade Patrick Cantlay, so I bet him 17-1 also.
Okay. So you got Cantlay and Answers outrights, and you got Harris English as a top 5, right?
Yeah, correct.
So we can agree. I've got Answer. I already made that bet. I love Answer this week. Really high on him. So I made one bet. I haven't made the other bet yet. I've got Webb Simpson as a top 5. It's only plus 280. I want to bet him to win outright, but not one golfer has defended their crown this year. And so that scares me away from making that outright bet on him. He's one of the favorites. I think he's plus 11-1 or something like that. 11-1. It scares me to make that bet. But I like the fact that I'm pretty confident he can finish in the top 5. So I've got Answer winning. I've got Connors. I've got an outright bet on Corey Connors as well winning. But Answer's the one I'm most confident in. I got Webb Simpson top 5. I got Kevin Streelman top 10 bet already. He's 7-1 on that. I got Thompson as a top 20 finish and Kadera just as a flyer as a top 20. He's 10-1. They're my most bets. I'm thinking of another bet. I hit on my Brooks Koepka missed the cut bet last week, right? So I was starting to look at the missed cut bets now, thinking, like Mike says, I'm a degenerate. I've gone to the dark side. So I was looking at the missed cut line. Am I crazy to look at Dustin Johnson missing the cut this week?
Yes, because of how bad he played last week.
That's what I'm looking at. He's played bad last week, but he also has had a bad season by his standards. He's got a 40th, a 50th on his lineup. He's 5.2-1 plus 520 to miss the cut.
I feel like he's kind of pissed. You could tell how pissed he was at the end of last week. So I feel like he's going to come out and play well this week. I don't know if he'll win, but
I wrote it down as a.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You're saying, okay.
Don't do it.
So another thing I've learned, and Mike, pay attention, is to look at, matchups, each round matchups. So I wrote down 4 matchups that I really like this week. And I've actually placed a small bet on all 4 of these matchups already. Okay. I got Putnam at plus 170 in round 1 over Russell Knox and Nick Taylor.
Okay. I like that.
Okay. I got Kevin Strowman. Obviously, I'm high on him this week. He's only plus 105, but he's going up against Austin Cook and William McGirt this week.
Oh, yeah.
In round 1.
First of all, I didn't even know Dirk McGirt. I didn't even know he was still playing on the PGA Tour. So
Dirk McGirt.
Dirk McGirt.
Yeah, exactly. Another one I like this week. Again, I love Michael Thompson this week on DraftKings. So I got him plus 160 over Graham McDowell and Luke Donald. And he's plus 160 because Luke Donald has been absolute trash. I mean, he's not the golfer he used to be.
No.
He's actually had some decent course history here. So I think that's why Michael Thompson's plus 160 isn't, lower and all. So I like Michael Thompson there.
100%.
Okay. And then, although I already, trashed him because of his name earlier, I got Bezuidenhout at plus 160 over Russell Henley and Matt Neesmith.
Oh, 100%.
So I looked at it. I made $1 bet on all 4 of those guys because I'm a small bettor. $1 bet to me, it's a big dollar.
I like
That's
it.
a big dollar. Okay. But if you bet all 4 of those on FanDuel as a parlay, you get plus 36.42 on all 4 of them to win.
Oh, hell yeah.
I already made a bet on that. Again,
Bill, you turned into
when it comes to betting.
I was gonna say you turned into a degenerate.
I have. We got somebody piping in. Don't sleep on Russell Henley this week.
Oh, Sean
He's already telling me that my Bezuidenhout is going to lose versus Russell Henley this week.
This guy, Sean Parrott, is a very knowledgeable golf expert.
And he doesn't think my DJ missing the cut is crazy.
Listen, he's been drinking.
Hey,
he's been drinking, obviously.
You're my new best friend, Sean Parrott. Although I haven't made the DJ bet yet. That was more just a thought process. All right. So are we in agreement that Abraham Answers win in this event?
For me, yes. 100%.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe not 100%, but a lot of percent.
Yeah, a lot of percent. All right, so we're almost at our hour. We don't have to go an hour. I like to get the show to an hour and all. We're at 57 minutes. So the few that are still watching, I got one final question to go to wrap up this show here. If you had to choose, don't take the golf course, the tournament, prestige, just the jacket alone. Come on now. Wouldn't you prefer to win this jacket over the green jacket? I mean, look at that red plaid jacket. That thing is so stylish. Am I right?
You could rock that with like some dress pants, some jeans, some jorts. I mean, you could rock that on the beach in Florida, whatever you want to do.
What did you say, George? I took it down. What is the worst jacket to wear? The green jacket from the Masters, or again, Webb Simpson rocking the plaid red for the RBC?
I feel like the green, because what the hell matches with green?
I mean, as the golfers show, there's nothing that matches the green jacket.
Correct.
I wore it on 3 different shows last week.
I think the best part about that green jacket is that it's a little small. That's my favorite part.
Up to about here on my own. Love it. It's great. But no, I'm going to have to find myself a red plaid jacket for next year because, again, this is from Webb Simpson winning last year. He's really got a really cool little trophy there as well. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but I haven't done my research on that one.
I don't know. I feel like I kind of want to go to like the Salvation Army or Goodwill or something and try to find you one of those coats.
Yeah, I think
that's my mission.
I mean, it's not. It won't fit in my suitcase to Clearwater. So
right, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. No problem.
All right, so that's wrapping up this episode of Fairway to Heaven here on the All About the Birds Network. Yeah, and remind you of Christmas. Exactly, and I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite holiday. I'm a big Christmas guy. So we got to wrap up this show here real quick. Again, Fairway to Heaven on the All About the Birds Network. I haven't shouted out our sponsors enough tonight. So again, Hemp Bombs, premium CBD products, hempbombs.com, promo code AATBirds for 20% off. All these places, promo code is always AATBirds. 99 jerseys, great quality jerseys. All the stuff. You're not going to get a Jalen Hurts #1 jersey there, but you're going to get an Al Bundy jersey, or you're going to get a Shane.
Yeah.
You're going to get some great jerseys there. I got to see if they've got like knockoff golf jackets on this site there. Of course, one of our newer sponsors, Manscaped. Their tagline is always the best. Your balls will thank you. you get free shipping along with the 20% off. And again, I got to comment and, thank, Statement Games, our new sponsor. New show coming, YouTube only. You got to subscribe on YouTube to see the Ultimate Statement, where I'm going to break down all their different events. Make sure you check that out. Again, Phil Seifel. Follow me at Beard of Knowledge. Jason at JSully2121. You can follow Fairway to Heaven. We've got our own Twitter account just for this show at Fairway, the number 2, Heaven _. We post all our picks. I post my favorite lineups. He posts his favorite plays and fades of the week. We just do a lot of golf talk on that site. So make sure you're following us there as well. Anything else to say, Jason, before we wrap this show up?
Most importantly, 3 weeks until Florida.
3 weeks. I know. 3 weeks one day because we leave on a Thursday.
Right, correct.
Don't jump the gun. It's exactly 22 days till Florida. We'll be doing a show from the beach in Clearwater, Florida in 3 weeks.
Somehow, some way, it's going to happen.
Yeah, we're not sure how, but we're going to do it.
It might be on a phone, but it'll happen.
Hey, as long as the beach is in the background, that's all.
That's
that
right.
matters.
That's right.
All right. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a great night. We appreciate everybody that tuned in. Make sure you share the show on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Subscribe, follow, retweet. You know the drill. Do it all for us. We greatly appreciate it. As we end every show, have a great night.
Support for All About the Birds is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. Manscaped hooked us up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit, including the Lawnmower 3.0, which comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. The Perfect Package also includes a deodorant for your undercarriage to prevent odors and chafing, a reviving lotion, a pair of boxers and a t-shirt, not to mention a travel bag to store all your grooming goodies. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code AATBirds. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.